Hello, everybody. My name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we got some major updates on the allegations of sex abuse against Mike Bickle, the narpostle from IHOP, the bad IHOP, known as the International House of Prayer. Now, IHOP, again, I've already alluded to it, is not a biblical organization. Mike Bickle is not a sound teacher, but that does not mean that he is guilty of sex abuse. Moreover, NAR is a threat to the church, but so too is the Me Too movement. That is a huge threat to the church. And most of these denominations are falling for feminism's lies, hook, line, and sinker. And the Southern Baptist Convention is definitely the quintessential example of that, to where they paid out an adulterous woman a 7-figure settlement for a defamation lawsuit. I believe it was defamation, because the Baptist press published her own words, which clearly indicated she was not abused because she was over 26 when it started. So that looks like a repeat of what is going on here with the Mike Bickle thing. Last month in November, they provided an update that established partial credibility for only one of the accusers against Mike Bickle. That allegation spans back 26 years ago. But we're going to talk about the latest news right here. But first, I want to let you know Evangelical Dark Web is a Christian news gathering and commentary ministry. You can support our work over at evangelicaldarkweb.org/join. We are keeping tabs on this story despite the lack of transparency exercised by the bad IHOP. So let's just go into the article that I wrote yesterday. Then we got some new news today that we're going to talk about. That's breaking, I should say. So IHOP provides update on the Mike Bickle scandal. So that's where the situation was, that we had a partially credible 26-year-old allegation. And then they announced on Sunday, we have a independent third-party investigation coming up. And the thing about independent third-party investigations is if one of the parties is paying for the investigation, it's not an independent investigation. That is the opposite of independent, because they are hiring a firm to act on their behalf. That is essentially what they're doing. There is no such thing as an independent third-party investigation unless you got, like, say, the police involved. That's an independent third-party investigation. Not hiring lawyers. Hiring lawyers to judge matters within the church is a violation of 1 Corinthians 6, where you're using the courts, you're using outsiders and pagans essentially to judge ecclesiastical matters in-house, especially since Mike Bickle has not been accused of any crime. There is no need to involve anyone who's not, a Christian inside that organization in this investigation. You don't need to hire a pagan law firm to do it. But that is what we're going to talk about today, is that they have hired a pagan law firm to judge matters inside the church. But even more funny is that even despite the hoops that that IHOP is trying to jump through, they still are not getting cooperation from the accusers. So this whole story is a mess. And it's kind of like feminism's collapsing on itself, because IHOP is trying to be woke and feminist. But I think it's because the case against Mike Bickle is so weak that they're not willing to go along with IHOP basically bending over. They basically announced back when Mike Bickle was accused that he was guilty. So if you look at the initial announcement, they basically accused him of being guilty. And you saw that in two places. One where they said, this is not the Mike Bickle that many of you know and love. And that when confronted, he just, was even more abusive towards the victims by, denying and calling them liars, essentially, is what the statement said. So they, again, they blame and already established that Mike Bickle is guilty in their initial announcement. despite the fact that they hadn't investigated yet. And then they did a initial investigation which found only one of them is partially credible, and that's from 26 years ago, which is beyond a reasonable statute of limitations for these types of things because, witnesses get worse over the years. Evidence doesn't last 26 years, most cases. So, that's the latest, or that's the update from Sunday. This is the latest update, and it comes from a video because IHOP announced that they were doing a third party. I speculated that it might be Guidepost because they have been talking to Guidepost. It is not Guidepost. Here's who it is.
Hello, everyone. A lot has happened in the last 24 hours, so I'm just going to give a quick update. Within just a few hours of the announcement of the new independent third party yesterday during Sunday church service, the name and phone number of the lead investigator was leaked by someone associated with the Advocate Group. As such, to avoid confusion, we are confirming that Rosalie McNamara of Lathrop LLP is the lead investigator. Any information pertaining to potential sexual misconduct by Mike Bickle should be directed to Ms. McNamara. Her contact information has been posted on IHOP KC's socials and website. Secondly, and unfortunately, a few hours ago, the attorney representing the main alleged victim and who purportedly represents the Advocate Group communicated that they are not willing to participate in the independent investigation. This is the third time that IHOP KC has introduced a third party to investigate, and this is the third time that the Advocate Group has rejected the investigation. We sincerely appeal for them to reconsider. These investigators are professional, they are honest, and they are bound by ethics. And it's puzzling, to be honest. If this is a matter of alleged victims feeling unsafe, there are many ways for their attorney to ensure their safety. For example, they can start with the first simple step of providing sworn affidavits of the Jane Does. IHOP KC is committed to finding the truth regarding these allegations, but is at a crossroads until the Advocate Group either presents evidence or alleged victims are willing to participate. This community is hurting, and respectfully, any further delays are on the Advocate Group. I say that respectfully. Lastly, and I'm going to keep mentioning this, I know this kind of message is uncomfortable and it's new for this community, but IHOP KC has made a pledge to keep you all informed as possible. Please keep praying. It's needed now more than ever.
So a lot of this starts because they didn't handle this biblically in the first place. It doesn't really look like they accepted a charge against an elder and then denounced him publicly by saying that he was basically guilty, and now we're going to do an investigation on how guilty he is. And then it turns out there isn't enough evidence to really convict Mike Bickle of any real meaningful sin here. Now, they accused him of sex abuse. We got to keep that in mind. That has a definition of molesting children. That is what that means. It is not, you doing hanky-panky in the office. So they accused Mike Bickle of sex abuse. That has a specific meaning. There's nothing about police being called. There's nothing about people actually really testifying against him. So we have zero testimonies against Mike Bickle, essentially. But rumors and rumors of rumors, and lawyers and lawyers and lawyers. And they accepted a charge against an elder like that. That's insane. That's not biblical. And they should itemize exactly what Mike Bickle is accused of doing. Because you can't just throw the blanket sex abuse out there. That's a lie. Unless, of course, it's not a lie, in which case, why aren't the children or police involved? So, a lot going on here, and it shows how weak the Me Too movement is in this instance, because they're basically relying on tropes. Now, I was one of the sources that this was leaked to. So someone leaked this to me, that the lawyer's name and stuff. Supposedly, the advocate group wanted Guidepost to do it, despite the fact that Guidepost notoriously botched the Southern Baptist Convention's Sex Abuse Task Force report. They botched that. They didn't find any sex abuse. They called what wasn't sex abuse, and now they have multiple defamation lawsuits that have now been brought against the Southern Baptist Convention and Guidepost themselves. The Southern Baptist Convention even admitted that the Guidepost Solutions report, or not admitted, well, they've admitted that it didn't find anything. And then furthermore, they've admitted that it shouldn't be seen as evidence in a courtroom. That's how bad that report was and how illegitimate it was. And they want to repeat the same process with the IHOP because that's probably how they get paid. So they seem to want Guidepost to botch another report because Guidepost wouldn't be an independent third party either. They weren't independent for the Southern Baptist Convention. They wouldn't be independent in this case. They would just be a firm that would basically help these lawyers get paid. And that's what they want to do. And IHOP is showing some level of, we're not stupid here. Even I don't want to say discernment because this is an organization that doesn't have discernment. That's why they're bending over backwards for the Me Too movement, because they don't have discernment. So here's the law firm. Let's get back to talking about the law firm. So this is the lawyer, Rosalie McNakamura. Large law firm. It's a huge firm, very impactful in the Kansas City community. And this is where things get even worse, even more unbiblical. I've already been very critical of the lack of transparency and basically how unbiblical they've handled this, but it gets worse. Not only are they violating 1 Corinthians 6 by going to pagan lawyers, these are gay pagan lawyers too. So they are bringing in a law firm that believes in that supports sexual degeneracy to investigate sexual degeneracy, alleged sexual degeneracy. That is a bad case scenario. This is not a credible law firm to be doing this type of investigation. Here's their diversity and inclusion page. And of course, they have a director for diversity and inclusion who is diverse and inclusive, if you know what I'm saying, for all you audio listeners out there. So, ongoing diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, both internal and external. So they have external diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, are supported at the highest levels. The firm has an active culture, diversity, and inclusion committee comprised of attorneys and firm staff. The committee focuses on ensuring Lathrop GPM remains a supportive and encouraging environment for all attorneys and staff. The firm also offers inclusion networks for women, diverse employees, and the homosexual transvestite community or cult members and allies, which is just a meaningful way of saying people who want attention in the gay movement. Lathrop GPM also participates in broad spectrum programs and activities focused on promoting diversity throughout the legal profession and in our communities. So if you want more Ketanji Brown Jacksons, that's your firm. That's your law firm. So IHOP hired a gay law firm to investigate Mike Bickle's alleged sexual sin. And that's not gay enough for the Me Too accusers of Mike Bickle. That's not good enough. They didn't hire a conservative law firm that's going to say, that's going to have a standard of evidence that adheres to the Bible. They hired a pagan law firm. Like, how is this firm any different than Guidepost Solutions? And I don't think they are. This is just another pagan law firm that's going to do a pagan job and violate 1 Corinthians 6 by making judgments on what's going on inside the church. And not hold to a standard of evidence, because that is what the Me Too movement has done. They never held to a standard of evidence. So, that is the latest new update on the whole debacle with IHOP, Mike Bickle, and the accusers thereof. So their narrative is kind of falling apart because they aren't participating in a process that is made for them to win and make money from. It's kind of insane. But at the end of the day, it's not enough. It's not about the money so much as it's about sending a message. You look at the Southern Baptist Convention again. Why did they fire Paige Patterson? Because he didn't believe an alleged rape victim hard enough, and her story wasn't very believable at the end of the day. And Paige Patterson won the lawsuit. He won a defamation lawsuit. He won a negligence lawsuit. He did his duty as a Christian man, reported it to the police, but because he did not believe hard enough, they went after him anyway. So that's why they got rid of him. So anyway, that's the same playbook being ran against IHOP. So that's all I got for today. My name is Ray. This is the Evangelical Dark Web. If you like this kind of content, subscribe to the channel, to the podcast if you are new. Till then, we will catch you on the next one. Have a blessed day.